Hi, everyone. It's me, Andra Annette, and I'm here with Laura Lee Kenny. And I just wanted to give you a little background on her. She is a best-selling author internationally. She has 3 books out, and I'm going to let her tell you a little bit more about that. She's also an amazing financial planner who has more than 20 years experience. And Lori Lee loves to help people become millionaires by helping them learn how to be smart with their money. So I want you to give her a warm welcome because this is something I'm going to make sure to listen to. Hi, honey. How are you?
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here with you, Andra.
It's great to have you.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity.
So
I,
you're
I
calling it from Canada today, correct?
yes, it's a little colder up here than it is for you. Not a big difference because you're in New York, but it is November for us Canadians, so it's cooler weather.
It's 75 in New York today. I've never
Oh,
seen anything. I've never seen anything like it. So
well, it
what?
is warmer here for us these last couple of days. It's more like the end of September, 1st of October, and we're just loving it.
I don't blame you. I love it too. So I do want to hear a little. I know you've worked with a lot of amazing mentors like Tony Robbins and Bob Proctor, and they really teach you to break past limits and stuff and just step into who you are. I know you also are part of She Rises Studios, like myself. You've been an author for them. I believe yours was Unstoppable Women in Finance, and rightfully so. And we really try to communicate to other people through our books how that nothing's really impossible. There are no limits. So I
Mm.
want you to talk a little bit about your books and what it's like being a best-selling author.
Ah, well, it was never really on my radar for just a short period of time to write, to write at all, especially in published books. So this was quite an interesting journey. Last year, I had decided, it just felt like divine intervention. Lorley, you need to work more on teaching financial literacy to young adults, mindset, goal setting. And I was like, So I took on a new empowerment coach. Happened to be Peggy McCall is who I used, and she worked with Bob Proctor for 40 some years. So well, well trained. My husband said, I said, I'm planning on doing this. He said, why now? I said, if not now, when? It'll never happen. But don't step up and do it now. Because he had said, well, I thought you were getting ready for retirement. I said, I thought so too, because we had plans for retirement, and I got to work as long as I wanted to work, was the plan. As long as I could enjoy life and work at the same time. Perfect. Anyway, and in this, I asked him for his support. I wasn't asking for his permission. I'm a little past that in my level of up leveling. And it was interesting. My apologies. I have a cold. I did check, it's not COVID, but I have a cold, so it's a little hard to swallow right now. But anyway, glad to be here. So I decided to take on Peggy and really dig deep, because when I got into financial planning, it was amazing to me that when you really get into more higher level self-employment, that you get into self-empowerment. I didn't know they went hand in hand.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I thought it was really interesting when I go to conferences and they'd have this motivational speaker up there even. And I think, well, what a cool job they have to inspire people more. Did and to take that information to turn around to inspire other people to take control of their finances. Now, in our household, well, let's go back a little bit. When you're one of 12 children and you're a baby boomer and one of the oldest in the family, life was pretty freaking tough
Yeah.
for everybody involved. We won't spend any amount of time there, but I knew what it was like to grow up in poverty. And my mom definitely, she didn't realize it, I'm sure, but she had a very negative poverty mindset. My father, on the other hand, even though we were very poor, at some point he broke that cycle. So he was always did better as a self-employed person. So it was a bit of a maverick. And it was pointed out to me that several of the children ended up being entrepreneurs. And I hadn't really thought about that because somebody asked me not too long ago, Laura Lee, you've hardly ever worked for anybody else. Could you not get along with people? I looked at them and I laughed. I said, I moved locations. There was no job for me. I had to make a job for myself. So that's what I did.
That's
Anyway,
empowering.
yeah, I just was like, well, if I want to make some money and there's no jobs, and thank God I didn't get some of those minimum wage jobs. Thank heavens. I'd have been stuck there. Not that there was, like there were an ends to a means for a lot of people, but I'm very thankful that there were some jobs I applied for that I did not get. Wasn't happy at the time, but as I've evolved, I really realized that. So 25 years ago, actually, it's fairly interesting. I just passed the 25 years on October 28th in finance.
Wow.
And somebody asked me this March when I was on a cruise with some lovely people. That was quite a time in the making to getting there because of COVID. However, they said, you're here with all these energy medicine women and men. What do you do? And I said, I deal in finances. Could you be any other left brain type of person? But I've always had a pretty good balance of either one. And they said, why did you pick that? And I said, well, listen, I grew up poor and I wanted to learn how not to be poor anymore. So I had the opportunity to change careers and I took it. Now, I was walking away from something that I loved and had fun with, but I didn't make any amount of money with it. I had 123 women underneath me in a cosmetic industry. I made lots of trips, prizes, but no money left over. Like it was always gone. And I thought, there's something I'm not doing right. I'm not making enough money. But I was told that I gave away the store because I had such a nice, loving heart. I felt I was empowering more people, but I really wasn't. I was giving away. Did not have the self-confidence to know when to pay myself first, to take care of myself. And I didn't even really learn that until even the last 5 or 6 years really and even the last year and a half has just been different times. You level up and then, you're there for a little while. But I didn't, this chick didn't know how to accept a compliment for a lot of years. I wasn't even aware of, they'd say, Laura Lee, accept it and move on. Like if someone said, oh, you look nice, or that's a lovely outfit, and I go, this whole thing, I've had it forever.
Same here. Same here. I want to just ask you, so just stop you real quick. You said you grew up poor, and up until recently, you haven't been able to really keep the money that you made. So this is what I want to ask you, because sometimes I think this happens to a lot of people, that when you grow up with a mindset, like you said, your mom had, issues with money. My mother was the same way because she was a single parent raising 4 children. So we heard a lot of money doesn't grow on trees. And we always had the necessities, but no more. But we grew up poor. And I was taught to work hard, go to school, do all that stuff and make great money. And I found that for a lot of years that I didn't pay myself, and whatever I got went back out because I didn't have a good relationship with money, and I still had my mother's mindset. And sometimes I worry that there's still a little bit of that left in there. So what would your advice be to someone about changing that money mindset?
Well, it's really interesting that you want to talk more about that, because that really is the basis of us leveling up, empowering ourselves, is changing our mindset. And I can't say up until recently, I didn't pay myself, because I've been told that I was an unconscious competent, because if I automated certain things, they got done. Money got put away, money got allotted for things. But for myself, I didn't put money away for Laura Lee personally. It
Mm,
was for my husband or I, like that together, to buy a house or do things. Um, I did those things, which even surprised some people for me not having the financial background to know to do those things. But I knew how to do income tax, and that helped me understand taxation. I think we all should be taught that for whatever country we're in. But going back to the mindset, really, it comes down to us learning some things about ourselves to get clarity on what we want for a goal. We don't, just because we grew up a certain way doesn't mean we have to stay that way. Use an example as somebody says, oh, my parents were always overweight, so I'm supposed to be always overweight because I have the same genes as them. Well, you might be overweight right now if your parents were, because you're eating the same way. Might have
correct.
nothing to do with the genes.
Correct.
Same with the poverty mindset for money. I had to learn to have a wonderful relationship with money. Didn't realize I had a bad relationship with money. But I'll tell you, when I got into the investment industry, where I did not have to ask my clients to pay me, because the mutual fund company paid me and the insurance companies paid me. The clients did not have to pay me out of their own pocket. Only the businesses had to if they hired me. But in the first year in financial planning, I made more in that 1 year than I had ever made in the cosmetic industry. And I was like, isn't that interesting? I didn't have to ask them for the money. Didn't realize I didn't value my gifts of knowledge, of wisdom. I didn't value me enough to realize I was giving good value. But anyway, it was quite an eye-opener for me. And I wasn't overcharging. It was whatever the industry said to charge. I had no control over that. Thank goodness I didn't. But as I went to different events and learned more and more, that I had to learn to accept me, and I'll jump forward, because really in this last year, I really learned that I've had to upgrade my thinking, make a conscious decision that this is what I want, and then make it a committed decision that I deserve the best. I should be the star of our own movie, not an extra in a movie. We should be the stars. We
I
deserve it.
I love that. One of my favorite people that I work with, and she worked with Bob Proctor a lot in her over her years, is Mary Morrissey.
Oh, yes. Yes, I
And
followed
she
her a lot also.
but
Yes.
she does a lot of audio tapes, and one of them she actually makes you the star of your own movie.
Yeah.
What does that look like for you? And you walk into, so it's really, it just brought
Oh,
me full circle in my mind when you said that, because she
yeah.
makes you picture what your life would be like if you get to design your own life, what would that look like? And I think, Laura Lee, we all do get to design our own lives. We just don't realize the power that we have in doing that.
Mm.
And because a lot of us have learned to live, you grow up as as a woman, where we're told you have to have children and get married, and we're not supposed to make a lot of money because the men are the breadwinners. So we've been taught a lot of things that necessarily, I mean, not only are they old fashioned, but they don't have to be what we adapt for ourselves. And
Yeah.
so I think that a lot of us, have created a lot of our own limits. I'm starting
Mm.
I'm starting to realize that more about myself. Like your husband said, why now? My husband
Mm.
said the same thing. I think they all do. What's going on? I thought you were ready to retire, because I'm 55, so I was looking towards retiring, and then I'm doing this.
Yeah.
I started this a few years ago, but my husband said the same thing. So
All the more power to you, darling.
yeah, I'm
And
gonna
what
keep.
we thought of age, my daughter says to me, Mom, you can run circles around me. And it literally is true. She says, you don't, like when we go out, oh, God love her, people think we're sisters.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, I've always, well, when I was younger, I looked a little older than I was, but now, given the right clothes, given the time to do makeup and my hair, I easily, quite often, people mistake me for being 20 years younger than I am. So it's, I laugh. I said, I love this self-empowerment movement. You get younger looking all the time, the more I'm with other people, because really age is just a number, but my energy, my drive, I'm just, I've amazed myself for what I've taken on this last year. Like, can you imagine? I've been in 3 books, never written before, 3 books this year, and just started January 17th. One came
Wow.
out in March, one came out in April, one came out in May. And my latest book with She Rises Studios, oh my God, my heart goes out to them. I just adore what they're doing for empowerment of women. I really am so blessed to be part of the book I've written in Becoming an Unstoppable Woman in Finance, because it's all I've ever written about is finance. And I've worked in the industry for a while. I felt that's where I had credibility. Now, could I have written in some of the other books? Absolutely. But I didn't write for the sake of writing for me. I wanted this to be as a tool for another project that I have down the pike. And it's been such a blessing to be around such like-minded people.
Yes, yes. I don't think I like the message that they're sending, like for empowerment of women, but there's also another very clear message about women supporting one another through the process. And
Mm.
that's what really attracted me.
Yes.
Um, I mean, I could see when I met with Heather, I saw the vision as clear as probably Hannah did, where this was going. I mean, because it's so profound and so beautiful, the concept of women working together and stepping into, that empowerment, and releasing themselves from those limits. So I just think it's amazing. I'm
Yes.
so.
I know, I certainly understand how you feel about it. And it's not just empowering, we're empowering our feminine power.
Mhm.
Could you imagine working in finances? When I first went to a meeting 25 years ago, I'd walk into a room. If there was 100 people, maybe, and I say maybe, there was 5 women,
Maybe. Yes.
maybe, because we were all self-employed um, advisors. We weren't working with the banks. And it was so interesting that even some of my family members, we here in our house is a duplex. So I'm a landlady. So we're in financial property that way. But when I decided to go from the cosmetic industry to finance, my family members says like, no, she's into real estate. She's selling real estate. Because the concept of a woman looking after the finances was just unacceptable to most males.
Yes, so crazy. They put us in a box.
It's so true. Like even for me, when I got in, they said, now, Laura, you're female. So as an example, your clientele will be women 5 or 10 years your age. Makes sense. I thought, oh, lovely. I'm going to be hanging out with, because just the stats, 50% of women are single mothers struggling, and I do mean struggling back then, to support themselves. Did they have any money for investments? They couldn't even get the concept that they needed to protect their children, have some life insurance on themselves. So I was very fortunate that I wanted to do retirement planning. And I even made 100% on when I wrote my CFP as a certified financial planner on the retirement part. I made 100%. I went, yes, because that's where I wanted to focus on. Anyway, I did something in the province of New Brunswick that had never been done by an advisor, let alone a female advisor. And I encouraged people that had signed paperwork at a big pension company to have that paperwork reversed and come to me. All of a sudden, this was a coal mining company, so that it was males. So all of a sudden, my clientele very quickly became males, 20 years older than me, that easily could be my father, and in some cases could have been my grandfather. That was not normal. That got the attention of other people. Like opportunities, and it was all because I asked questions. We have to learn it's okay to ask questions. People are so afraid to ask a question. God forbid they look foolish. Well, we could look a lot more foolish by not asking questions and taking what is offered to us or what scraps are left over. But I know
have to ask
now.
questions. I have to ask questions in my line of business. I'm that nosy nurse, and even nosier nutritionist, because if I don't, they're not getting those outcomes. So I got to know everything.
Oh, that's
So
lovely. But I really love the part about, anyways, one of my coaches said to me, Laura, you are so in your feminine power. Do you know how powerful you are? And I said, well, I'm learning that, but I can't wait to become even more powerful and be able to encourage and inspire people to take action themselves. Because it's one thing to motivate somebody. It's, to think, oh, that'd be lovely. But we need to be able to inspire people to take actions to change their own lives, to improve their own lives. That's why that really excites me. And the more we can do it on a younger age group, oh, just wonderful.
it's really scary that because you're talking about educating younger people on financial literacy, and there really are withdrawing so much from the school systems nowadays. I mean, a lot of children can't look at a clock and understand the concepts because everything has become digital. And
Digital, yeah.
you're still going to need some place in the building, and there's going to still be those clocks or wherever you are to really be able to see what time is.
Or make
So
money, make change.
yes,
Young
but there,
people do not know how to make change for something. Like if somebody gave you bills, God forbid people use bills anymore, because so often it's debit or credit card, and I'm conscious of that, but I still know how to make change. It's so funny because I volunteer once a month on a Friday night at our local club, seniors club, and we have a hard time getting people to do that job because it's an old cash register. So you have to make change. And it freaks people out.
I don't understand that. A lot of people say, they don't need math and things like that. And you really do need to know how to give a tip or read directions on a map, and that is math, and
Mm-hmm.
people don't understand that. So I think it's harder, and I think because people feel less confident,
Mm-hmm.
like in math, every everything works on a support system. So if you didn't learn basic addition and subtraction, you're not going to be able to do multiplication. So one concept is directly related to the next. So I know I'm not saying that correctly, but the head colds get into my head. I have laryngitis, but it's affecting my nasal a little too, because if you can't swallow, you feel like you can't breathe sometimes.
Yes.
So,
But we're striving ahead. Both of us are sick, and we're still
please,
striving to do the session.
listen, I let very little stand in my way of doing anything I want to do. Very little, it has to be me that says, no, you know what, I just don't want to do this. So otherwise I always show up. People can always count on me.
Awesome.
So I think that, our kids, the future, is not really looking well with financial planning unless there's more people out there like yourself that are willing to go the extra yard and really teach them why it's so important and integral, because planning is a big part of financial literacy and having enough, because the economy, everything keeps going up, 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 except for a lot of salaries. People are coming out of colleges after years and years of study and just not making the money they deserve to be making. So what if you could give, I don't know, a teenager or someone in their 20s, good sound advice about how to plan better for their financial future, what would that look like?
Well, that's interesting you asked that. I'll do a little teaser. In my
Okay.
chapter, in my book, in Becoming an Unstoppable Woman in Finance, I didn't want to just talk about the mindset, even though that is number one. I did put some graphs and some charts inside of my chapter that shows people that, start off at a young age as an example of 20, putting $155 away. That's it. That's all they have to put away a month. And if they get an average compounded rate of return of 9%, and people say, can't get 9% on interest rate right now. Well, some areas you can if it's invested in mutual funds or stocks. It can't be inside the banking system. But the compound interest, because Albert Einstein tells us that he feels it should be one of the eighth wonders of the world. It can be good for us or it can be bad for us. It's quite interesting. It can be a double-edged sword. But you could do some little things like that. Start paying yourself first and never touching that, but putting money away, but you also have to invest in it. Invest in something that you're not planning on touching. You have somebody that knows how to look at the markets. Like it teaches a little bit about the markets or what's going on, but that's not where I have my expertise. I rely on the fund managers to know where to tell us, give us an idea of where to invest the money. That's not my area. My area is to take people and say, you have this much money. Let's change how you pay your bills. If you have a goal and you want to do something, and my clientele were not wealthy. It was quite some time before I got some millionaires to be clients. So I thought, millionaires are going to be working with me, but they loved my advice. They knew it was good advice.
Good sound advice.
Yeah, like that really, I was like, wow, they're going to let me talk to them, present to them. I was kind of blown away. But you know what was more exciting? When I took some people that didn't even make 6 figures a year in their household and got them to have a nest egg when they didn't think they could do it. I'd show them some things. And once they saw a little bit of taste, they realized that, they could focus on that goal and then make that goal a little bigger and a little bigger, and that they deserved to have that. They thought you had to make huge money and that you always had to live below your means. I would say, no, get another job, get another type of passive income that comes in to help you. So it's not that you're working twice as many hours a week, because we only have so many hours.
Yes, very true. The hours don't change. Everybody's just got 24, Lorelai.
Yeah. And it's so interesting. One of my goals this year, that's I asked the universe for some help to put people in my path to help me on my goals. And some of the most amazing people have popped up, which I was like, how in God's name did we get connected? It didn't make sense. Like, I didn't even apply to write in She Rises books. I made a comment about that there's so many smart, intelligent women out there that would do, a great presentation with their format. I saw a little bit of what went on. I thought it was wonderful. What I barely saw what they were up to. And a beautiful girl reached out to me, and I'm like, well, I wasn't applying to write in the book. She says, no, but I looked at your profile and I want you to consider it. I said, well, the only way I consider it is if there is a New York Times bestselling campaign. And she said, we have it. And we're also going to have a Wall Street Journal campaign with it. And I went, okay, let's talk a little bit more. Because my goal in writing was, when I get students through what I want to take them through, and I say students, but young adults, through a program, that if some of them want to write, I thought if I could say Amazon bestseller on the front of it, it would help give them a leg up, when we would put it on Amazon. Never in my mind did I think I would be able to stay 3 times international bestseller. And I know in my heart that Wall Street Journal has already been accomplished. And I so believe in Hannah and Adriana and the group that we're going to be New York Times bestselling authors. I
Oh,
just so
absolutely.
see it.
Listen, I already put my order into the universe. I already saw it. It's done. Listen, before it went live, part of me, like, because I'm in Unleash Her, but part of me had a little anxiety about sharing this part of my life, and because I knew once I put it out there, I couldn't take it back. But it's not about me, it's about helping other people, so you sometimes you really got to take yourself out of the picture. And then I said, but it's okay, because it's all going to be worth it. I'm going to be a best-selling author. Books will be flying off the shelves. And I just started like having that conversation with myself. They tell you to really see it. And those were the things I started speaking. And it was out less than 24 hours. And we were
I know
bestseller.
you girls are rocking it.
I said,
Yeah, I'm just loving it. It's just so empowering and inspiring.
I don't
Uh,
think you could be part of She Rises and not be an amazing person. I,
mm,
I, I think even if you came in as not such an amazing person, you'd be changed by the time you got out, because they just really support you and love you and take you in as their family and really walk you through the process.
absolutely.
I was
Absolutely.
yeah,
I
I
so
kept
totally agree. And I looked at the writing, that because my daughter says, my son, like, you write? Since when? I said, well, apparently this year, but I looked at it that it wasn't about me. Although, I tell some stories in it, because you want it to be entertaining, also, and suggestions in it. But I do not look at that as, I'm writing to promote just me. It's really, it surprises people when I say that, but anybody else that's written in them feels the same way. Like, well, on my first book, in the background you can see it, Empowered Women in Business. Like, what a wonderful title. And when I saw what Selena Dorsey was doing, she put together in January the largest female summit, all women, lecturers, teachers, coaches, on her summit. And she got on the Today Show with that. I'm like, whoa, that was a first. And then I got
Yes.
to write in Thrive and Prosper. Well, who in God's name wouldn't want to thrive and prosper? Love the title of that.
Nobody I know. Yeah, I thought the whole concept too would unleash her, but all of the names of the books, I have one of their first books here because when we went on the book tour, we got to pick one that we wanted.
Oh,
So for something we were doing at the time, it was some kind of game that we were doing, and I walked up to Hannah at the end and I said, "You don't want this back, do you? Because this is going in the." She said, "No." She said, "Absolutely keep it." And I read, even though I've read most of um most of that book. Like
mhm.
I do like a chapter, 2 chapters, 3 chapters, because I'm an avid reader, so I always
Yeah,
have other books. And then I've read our book twice already because
yeah.
I just couldn't believe um how much I got out of it,
Mm.
so
It's so interesting how, the circle of life on it. I have to tell you that I'm a little sad and jealous. I was to be in New York City for a couple of days with you when the book tour started, and circumstances was making it very challenging for me to be there because I was traveling myself, and I was gone for a 2-week period. And I was at one conference with Eden Energy Medicine, which was just pure bliss for me. It was so healing. I didn't have to take notes if I didn't want to. It was not like I had any work to do. And then my goal was to go from, it happened to be in Cleveland, to go to New York City for a couple of days and then down to Florida, where I was to be at another training event that should have done a couple of years ago, but COVID changed a lot of things for us and our plans and travel. But anyway, I didn't get to go to New York City, but I booked for January, and let's hope. I was hoping for nicer weather to be in New York City, but I know that you ladies had such a blast there.
we really did. It was some of us were just meeting the others, but everybody, like I was one of the new women coming in,
Mm-hmm.
and um I am that introvert, so I get a little uncomfortable. I mean, I worked with the public my entire life, so I have no problem making connections, but I was a little nervous meeting all these people, like, because I had never written a book before. What am I going to
Mm-hmm.
talk about here? And they just embrace you and drag you into their world. So it's really hard not to have fun. And
Oh,
I met a lot of amazing women that were in the other books. Some of them are in this, but I plan to keep in touch with all of them, you
oh, I
know.
bet. It was interesting in Florida. I met one of the ladies that was in the Me Too, but never again. She was in the session that I was doing in Florida. And of course, Jamie and I instantly bonded. I'm so proud of that book. So proud of the ladies for stepping up.
Yes.
It's, someone else that I just recently spoke to, she had written a book, and she admitted something that had happened to her, that she got caught up in something and she got put into quote the sex trade in California, and she had held that secret for decades. And she said, we just talked the other day, and she just spoke about it last week publicly. And she said, I didn't write about it in a book. And I said, yes, you did, but you didn't say the words. She said, how could you tell? She's because as we level up, guess what? Our intuition kicks in,
Yes.
that you read between the lines, you hear things, you feel things that people don't even have to say anything, yet
Ironically enough, we're talking about leveling up, and that all comes back to self-belief and self-concept, and I don't think there's any entrepreneur out there that doesn't work in mindset, because most of those blocks come from our own mindset and our own
Mhm.
belief system. And uh, even though we're from different parts of the world, all of us globally felt a sense of we weren't enough, and we needed to do this to
Biggest,
like people please, and because that's what society kind of sends a message to a lot of us. And I'm really hoping to, what Anne is doing here is really big mainstream, telling people, because all of her books have a very clear message. She's really telling you how to live a really quality life, get rid of those things that, I mean, the people that happened to Me Too and Never Again, I mean, that's a lot of those, they don't have control over those things, but they learn to move through those things. So, and then how to be financially free and unstoppable in finance and unstoppable in your healthcare, how to take back your
yeah,
health and how to unleash your power. So she's little by little in her books telling people how to really have a quality life when you
yeah.
just own your own genius. And I think it's amazing. But if you look at it, it's like a very clear path. And it's really helping women and guiding women to really be the best they can be. And that's amazing.
Wow. And even people like you doing podcasts all the time. There's so many. I haven't done I've been, that was something new this year to start being on podcast. I've been on so many. I just, and I love your format because there's no script. It just comes from the heart. And I like that so much better. One thing I do want to, a couple of things if we have time, I want to make people realize, like some people say, well, I don't need a lot of money. And I used to say that too. If I was comfortable, I had, I'm so blessed compared to some people, a roof over my head, food in the cupboard, don't have to worry about, my next meal type thing. But I came from, that was quite different. When when my husband and I were first married, I thought, I'm so excited about payday. And it wasn't even my pay, it was his pay. Mainly, but it didn't take long that on payday you were broke, because once you paid all your bills and there was no money put away for anything else, I was like, after a little bit, someone would say, oh, it's payday. I'm like, that doesn't excite me anymore because there's
Yeah.
nothing left. Like we're just struggling. We're just in that motion. And yeah, anyway, I didn't want to stay there. I needed to learn what I needed, some things, and make a little bit of progress so that you could see that there was potentially an answer. And once you got to that level, then it's like finding another. It's like climbing a big ladder. You don't need to look at the top all the time. You just have to
See you
look at
next
that
step.
one rung ahead.
Yes.
And, it's wonderful if you could take a helicopter up and fly up, because now with the education, that can happen for a lot of people to snap and change. You can change your mindset like that. Just like, that's it. No more. I'm not taking this. I'm doing something else. It can be that quick. We don't have to know how, which is the really interesting part, because you take as a planner, we want to know all the steps of what to do. So that was a little challenging for me to get in here. And I have to tell you just a couple other little things that for me, there were a couple of little exercises somebody made me do last year. And it's really simple to do. And most of these are simple to do. We just, oh, that's not going to make any difference. But if I played a little game with you, and because you've leveled up, it would take you a little while to do, maybe to do this, maybe not. If I said to you, what do you want? And I want you to keep it, I'm going to do this for 7 minutes. Keep firing back to you. What do you want? Can you give me an answer? What do you want?
I do.
First thing that comes to your mind. What do you want?
More.
What do you want? Can't be the same
More.
answer each time.
No.
But what do you want?
Um, abundance in health,
Okay, what do you want?
abundance in my relationships.
Yeah. I won't keep doing it to you, but I want you to do this exercise with you. Get somebody to do it for you. Set a timer and do it. I was so stubborn the first time I did this. It took me 6.5 minutes. to come up with an answer that I went, how could I say that? I thought, how selfish of you.
It's not, it's your
And it wasn't,
soul.
but that's what I felt in my mind. But that I got to something that was really important. And guess what? It had nothing to do with money. I honestly felt that I needed to learn to love myself. Love myself first so that I could then share and give more love to other people.
And you know what, Laura, that's a very powerful statement, because I don't think that you could really love anybody until you love yourself, not fully.
Yeah.
I know that um there was a long time in my life where I did have insecurities, and maybe I had a poor self-concept. The only thing I was really capable of giving anybody was polite indifference, because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't look inside at what that child was saying, and I wasn't feeding my own soul. So how could I feed somebody else's if I wasn't giving, like you say, to myself first? I
Yeah.
wasn't. People wanted this, people wanted that. Okay, okay, okay. I mean, the greatest word that I love to use today is no. No, I don't have time. No, sorry.
You're saying no to them, but yes to yourself.
Yes, yes. So it kind of, they go together. So yeah.
Yeah.
But I know that you have another meeting, and
Yeah.
I have another one that I have to get into. But and I love talking to you. I can go on to you like this with you for
Like we've
hours.
almost spent an hour together and it just feels like a few minutes.
I
Wanted to tell
know.
you something. This year, when I did the exercise, I added the word, I want to love myself unconditionally. The way I am now, I want to improve myself even more. I have to love myself the way I am now, unconditionally. We love our children unconditionally. We love our grandchildren unconditionally. Like there's so many things that we do unconditionally to other people. But in looking after ourselves first, we become so much more powerful.
Agreed.
I thank you so much for your time.
So
Thank you, audience.
where can this will go to YouTube. So it's not, I've kind of
I
made
need to
it.
start a YouTube channel. Oh, this is
No,
lovely
that's,
here.
I'm
People
on
can reach
YouTube.
me. I'm just getting someone to work on my website a bit more, but some of it will be changing. But they can always reach out to me right now. They can reach out to me at info at lauraleekenny.com, and it's spelt very plainly, LauraleeKenny.com. And if they would like to reach me there, my website is lauraleekenny.com. Of course, the W. But please don't hold it against me. I know I need a lot of improvement on my website.
No, don't be silly. I spent a lot of time and a lot of money on a website, and you can really have a business without having a website.
Absolutely. They keep
So
telling us
I'm
that.
seeing.
Landing pages, many different ways. And I'm just so thrilled. I want to tell people that a new company, a new social media platform that was introduced to me just this year as an alternative. It's a new way to do passive income, but it's platforms that they're Lauralee Kenny.
Wait 1 second.
Or just check out with me. I'll send you the link. It's a shareable link. I just love it. They can have a free account. They can have, like, instead of using Zoom, they can have a different virtual platform. The free account gives them 90 minutes. Zoom only gives you 40.
Okay, so I just want to tell you, you froze a little. My
To share
internet
with
went.
people that it enhances their business.
Can you hear me okay still?
Yeah, I can still hear you, dear.
Because there was a little bit of a blackout there. The internet went a
Oh,
little
okay. Just
unstable. So I didn't hear the number of the name of the platform. So if I
Okay,
didn't hear
you
it,
just
I
hold
want
on
to
for a second, and I'll tell you again the name of the shareable link that they can come into. Internet wants to be a little slow here also, dear. If they go to lauraleekenney.beconnected.com, and Be Connected is BEE, like a bumblebee, and connect it with a K, KONNECTED.com. So again, it's lauraleekenney.beconnected.com. That it will just amaze you what the company is doing. When I was introduced to me just this fall, I was like, oh my gosh. I thought to myself, if you had a chance to invest in Facebook, LinkedIn, a lot of these platforms when they were just new and starting, would you? Do they have enough
course.
history? Do they have? And I was like, this is a no-brainer for me.
I did
Plus all
invest
the
in
other
them
things
though.
I so look forward to sharing it with you. What they offer is just unbelievable, let alone a business package, which is all of $50 a month. I'm going to do my own podcast through them. I could have my own TV show through them for
Yeah,
$50 a
I'm
month.
thinking
Like,
about doing a podcast because I do YouTube because YouTube allows me to post to LinkedIn long videos where you can't do long videos on LinkedIn. So I have a dual factor reason for
yeah,
doing it.
guess
Yeah.
what?
So
You can push a button when you're posting on their site, and you can post to 5 social media platforms at the same time without any other devices
oh, I love that.
simultaneously.
I love that.
I
That's
know.
amazing
And
for
when
me.
I was like, would you like to try a new one? And you were like, no, I'm good with this. And I can understand that
Well, because
the
I'm a
first
creature
time.
of habit, but I'm stepping out of my own comfort zone too. That's part of leveling up. So I
Yeah.
just wanted them to know where to meet you. I am going to post the links that you gave me
Yeah.
below, okay? And
Yeah.
let's do this again soon, and I will want to hear more from you, so I'll message you outside of this, okay?
Absolutely, dear. So they can find my website at lauraleekenney.com. They can send emails to me right now, info@lauraleekenney.com. If they want to see something else. I have 2 other email addresses right now, but I get like 500 emails a day, so it's challenging to get through them all. My new
I just
VA has
don't.
got some work.
Okay. I just don't
Thank
get through
you.
those emails. It was a pleasure having you, and we'll talk soon, honey, okay?
Take care.
Bye,
Have a
honey.
great day and a better tomorrow.
Thank you. You too.